Well, hello, and welcome back to another exciting edition of Coffee with Stephen. So, this week's blog is somewhat of a request from one of our law enforcement clients who asked me to write about one of our programs that we offer, usually 3 to 4 times a year, called Date Night. Now, Date Night did not start off as something that was originally intended as some sort of rigorous training. Our law enforcement partners would come to us and say, listen, would you train my wife or my daughter or my significant other in the use of firearms? Um, then they would usually follow that up with my significant other is deathly afraid of firearms, and they have little knowledge of what we actually do in training, nor do they have real knowledge of what we do even when out in the field. So could you help educate them and do it in an environment where they're not losing their minds? So Sandy crafted this concept called Date Night. Date Night is a way for individuals to be able to come into our facility, go on the simulators, do so in an extraordinarily comfortable environment, and start becoming familiar and educated to the types of things that our law enforcement partners do. This last weekend in our CCW class, we had a woman whose husband is in law enforcement, and right now the family is under a credible threat to their safety, as above and beyond the traditional types of threats that would exist for law enforcement. So both parties agreed that it would be a good idea for her to be able to have access to a firearm outside the house, hence her being inside the class. So we were talking about Date Night during the class, and this just naturally grew into the blog. Date Night has grown to being something that was originally for law enforcement, and now civilians participate in it as well. It's something that acts as a really good entry gateway for somebody that's interested in their partner, their spouse, their daughters, their sons, to be able to get into an environment where they start understanding some of the realities of tactical training. It's done so in an environment that is entertaining. It's not a high-stress event like a traditional training class. And then there are obviously benefits to that in just the exposure that these people have towards the types of activities that their loved ones are having to go through for their job. In any event, I hope you enjoy the blog, and if you're interested, obviously, do join us for Date Night. As always, train constantly, train consistently, train with purpose, and above all else, stay vigilant. Until next week, stay safe, and we'll see you next week for Coffee with Stephen.